Japan has more centuries-old companies than any country on Earth. Thousands of family businesses there have survived for hundreds of years. Japan also has more millionaires per capita than the United States. And yet, you would never guess it by looking around. No Lamborghinis, no loud displays of wealth, no constant flexing, just quiet lives and money that compounds across generations. That feels backwards, because most of us were taught that wealth should be visible. Bigger houses, better cars, proof that all the hard work is paying off. Now look at the Western world. People work longer hours. Hustle culture is everywhere. Incomes are often decent, but financial stress is constant. Millions live paycheck to paycheck, even while doing everything they were told was responsible. If you feel stuck in that contradiction, you are not careless and you are not failing. You followed the rules, you worked harder. The problem is not effort. It is that effort is being pointed in the wrong direction. Here's the pattern most people miss. Japanese culture hides wealth and builds it slowly. Western culture shows wealth early and drains it quietly. Same planet, same technology, completely different money behavior. My name is Alex. In this video, I will walk you through 9 habits, starting with simple, helpful habits, and ending with life-changing principles that quietly build wealth across generations, without burnout or constant pressure. If you misunderstand this difference, you can work harder every year and still feel behind. But once you see what is actually happening, the game changes. If this already challenges how you think about money, tap the like button so more people see this kind of calm financial thinking. Now let's break down the quiet habits that build wealth, while others stay stressed. Habit 1. Kaizen. Small improvements that actually stick. This is the most approachable habit on the list, and that is exactly why it comes first. Kaizen means improving a little every day instead of trying to change everything at once. On the surface, it sounds almost too simple to matter, but over time, it quietly does. Here's what usually happens instead. Someone decides they are finally going to get serious about money. They plan to save $1,000 a month, overhaul their budget, invest aggressively, and fix everything starting January 1st. It works for a few weeks, then life intervenes. One missed month turns into frustration, and the whole plan collapses. Kaizen avoids that trap. It is not about dramatic change. It is about consistency that survives real life. There is a real example from Japan that stuck with me. A man committed to saving just $5 a day. Not investing tricks, not side hustles. $5. He did it for 30 years. At the end of that period, he had over $65,000, and that is with very modest returns. Most people spend more than that chasing shortcuts that never work. The point is not the amount, it is the repeatability. Small actions done daily compound in ways motivation never can. Kaizen will not make you rich on its own, but it teaches something essential early on. Progress that you can sustain always beats progress that only exists on paper. Habit 2. Zazen. Stillness before financial action. This habit is less visible than saving or budgeting, but it quietly prevents more financial damage than almost anything else. Zazen is the practice of sitting still before you act. In money terms, it means creating a pause between impulse and decision. Most financial mistakes are not caused by ignorance. They are caused by urgency. A market jumps and fear of missing out kicks in. A sale hits your inbox and suddenly the purchase feels necessary. In those moments, the brain is not thinking in strategy. It is reacting. There was an investor who avoided the entire 2008 financial crash in a surprisingly simple way. He did not predict it. He did not time the market perfectly. He just felt uneasy, paused, and refused to follow the crowd. That pause saved him millions. The Japanese formalized this habit through Zazen. It is not mystical, it is practical. It creates space for rational thinking to return. Here is the rule that makes this real. Before any financial decision over $100, stop. Sit quietly for 5 minutes, no phone, no screens. Then ask a simple question. Am I acting from fear or excitement or from a plan? Most of the time, the urgency fades. And when it does, so do the bad decisions. Habit 3. Kakeibo. Seeing money clearly. This habit looks boring, and that is exactly why it works. Kakeibo is the practice of tracking your spending. Not to restrict yourself, but to understand yourself. Most people think budgeting is a form of punishment. like being grounded for buying a coffee. So they avoid it, then wonder why money disappears every month. The Japanese have used Kakeibo for over 100 years. It started in 1904 as a simple household ledger. No apps, no automation, just honest attention. There is a real story that explains its power better than any spreadsheet. A grandmother in Tokyo kept a handwritten Kakeibo for 40 years. She worked as a school teacher her entire life and never earned a high income. When she retired, she had saved over $500,000. Not because she was extreme or cheap, but because she always knew where her money went. That awareness changes behavior naturally. When you see your spending clearly, you make different choices without forcing them. The method is simple. Use a notebook. Every evening, write down what you spent that day. No judgment. At the end of the week, circle 3 expenses that added no real value. The following week, avoid just those 3. Kakeibo does not grow money by itself. It stops the leaks that silently destroy it. Habit 4. Mottainai. The cost of wasted money. This habit is about something most people never track, but constantly pay for. Waste. In Japan, there is a word, Mottainai. It roughly means what a waste, but culturally it goes much deeper. It reflects discomfort with throwing away value that still has life left in it. In many Western households, replacing things has become automatic. Something breaks, looks worn, or feels slightly inconvenient, and the response is simple: just get a new one. That sentence sounds harmless, but it quietly drains money over decades. I once met a businessman in Osaka who had been using the same leather briefcase for 30 years. Not because he could not afford another one. He was a millionaire. He kept it because it was well made and properly maintained. Over the same period, many people replace cheap briefcases every few years and spend more for worse quality. The same logic shows up in everyday decisions. People will spend $120 on new shoes without hesitation, but hesitate to spend $40 to repair a good pair. Repair feels like loss. Replacement feels like progress, even when the math says otherwise. Mottainai teaches a simple truth. Wealth grows faster when you waste less, not when you buy more. Habit 5. Ikigai, knowing why you are building wealth. This habit is where money stops feeling scattered and starts moving in one direction. Ikigai means having a clear reason for what you are doing. Without it, people chase everything. 1 month it is crypto, then NFTs, then a new course, then a different strategy because someone online says this one works faster. The problem is not curiosity, it is the absence of a filter. There is a craftsman in Japan who has been making the same style of pottery bowls for over 60 years. From the outside, it looks repetitive, almost boring. But that focus turned him into a master. Mastery created demand. Demand created wealth. And wealth created a calm, meaningful life. Contrast that with the constant switching most people do. Every new opportunity feels urgent because there is no deeper reason guiding decisions. When your only goal is to get rich, everything looks tempting. Ikigai fixes that. It answers a simple question. Why are you building wealth in the first place? Not a vague answer, a real one. To retire early, to protect your family, to remove stress from your health or time. Once that reason is clear, saying no becomes easy. If an opportunity does not serve your purpose, it stops mattering. Ikigai does not make you wealthy by itself, but it prevents you from wasting years chasing paths that were never yours to begin with. Habit 6. Gaman. Enduring short-term discomfort. This habit is where the gap between knowing and doing becomes visible. Gaman is the ability to endure short-term discomfort with patience and dignity, not suffering for the sake of it, but choosing future stability over immediate relief. Most people are not broke because they lack income. They are broke because they cannot tolerate feeling uncomfortable for a few minutes. Buy now. Pay later. Put it on the card. I deserve it. The logic feels harmless, but repeated over years, it quietly destroys momentum. After World War II, Japan was economically devastated. Cities were destroyed. Resources were scarce. What rebuilt the country into an economic powerhouse was not luck or speed, but a collective willingness to endure short-term pain for long-term gain. You can see the same pattern on a personal level. There was a couple who drove an old, unreliable-looking car for nearly 10 years while their friends leased new ones. People assumed they were struggling. They were not. They were investing the difference. While others were still making car payments, they bought a house. The principle is simple. Discipline feels heavy in the moment, but light over time. Regret feels light at first, then becomes crushing. Gaman is the habit of choosing which weight you want to carry. Over decades, that choice decides who has options and who does not. Habit 7, Wabi-sabi, choosing simplicity over status. This habit quietly removes one of the biggest enemies of wealth, the need to look successful. Wabi-sabi is the Japanese idea of finding value in simplicity, modesty, and things that are imperfect but useful. In money terms, it means caring less about appearances and more about durability. In the West, wealth is often performed. New cars, designer labels, homes stretched to the limit. From the outside, it looks like success. Inside, it is usually debt, pressure, and constant anxiety. Many people who look rich are one missed paycheck away from trouble. Meanwhile, Japanese millionaires often look ordinary. They drive reliable cars. They wear simple clothes. They live in modest homes, not because they cannot afford more, but because they understand the cost of status spending. There is a reason researchers like Thomas Stanley found that most real millionaires blend into middle-class neighborhoods, and it mirrors what you see in Japan. Looking rich and being rich usually move in opposite directions. I once lived near a man everyone assumed was struggling because of how simply he lived. Old car, plain clothes, no upgrades. When he passed away, he left a large fortune to charity. No one saw it coming. Wabi-sabi teaches a quiet rule. Wealth grows fastest when your identity is not tied to impressing anyone. Habit 8. Omotenashi, relationships over transactions. This habit creates advantages you cannot spreadsheet or plan on a timeline. Omotenashi is the practice of offering care and generosity without expecting anything in return. In business and in life, it shifts the focus from transactions to relationships. In many Western networking settings, conversations turn transactional almost immediately. People are quick to explain what they do and faster to ask what you can offer them. It feels efficient, but it is fragile. Those connections rarely last. Japanese business culture moves differently. Relationships are built slowly. Meals are shared. Trust is established long before money is discussed. To outsiders, it looks inefficient. In reality, it creates partnerships that hold up for decades. There was a man I heard about who helped a stranger move furniture one weekend. No business talk, no agenda. 10 years later, that same person, now a CEO, remembered the kindness and offered him a six-figure position. That outcome could not be engineered. It only became possible because the relationship was real. Warren Buffett has operated this way for most of his career. His biggest deals were not the result of aggressive networking, but long-standing trust with a small group of people. Omotenashi teaches that generosity compounds quietly. When people trust you, opportunities appear that money alone cannot buy. Habit 9, Sampo Yoshi, mutual benefit over maximum extraction. This is the habit that separates short-lived success from wealth that survives generations. Sampo Yoshi is an old Japanese principle that means good for the seller, good for the buyer, and good for society. If one side loses, the deal is incomplete. This runs directly against how many businesses operate today. The dominant mindset is extraction. Pay employees as little as possible. Push customers to the limit. Maximize quarterly numbers. It works fast, but it weakens everything underneath. Trust erodes. Loyalty disappears. The system eventually collapses under its own pressure. Japan took a different path. There are family companies there that have lasted hundreds of years because they understood a simple truth. Wealth is fragile when it depends on someone else losing. It becomes durable when everyone involved benefits. There was a business owner during the pandemic who chose to keep paying employees their full salaries, even when he did not have to. On paper, it looked risky. But when conditions normalized, those employees stayed, worked harder, and helped the company recover faster than competitors who cut corners. Sampo Yoshi reframes money entirely. Profit is not something you squeeze out of people. It is something you earn by creating value that lasts. When employees stay, customers return, and communities support you, wealth stops being temporary. That is how money outlives the person who made it. Key takeaways. Quiet wealth is not built by doing more. It is built by leaking less and thinking longer. The habits you just heard are not tricks or shortcuts. They are systems that reduce impulse, remove waste, and let time do the heavy lifting. Small improvements matter when they are repeatable. Pausing before action protects you from emotional mistakes. Seeing your money clearly stops silent leaks. Avoiding waste preserves value others throw away. Enduring discomfort creates future options. Simplicity shields you from status traps. Real relationships create leverage money cannot buy. And when every transaction allows everyone to win, wealth becomes durable instead of fragile. None of these habits feel exciting. That is the point. Excitement fades, structure compounds. You do not need to adopt all 9. Pick one, just one. Apply it quietly this week and let it run. If this helped you see money differently, subscribe for more calm financial breakdowns. And in the comments, tell me which habit you are starting with.